My father was a formerly incarcerated individual, did 10 years in Joliet State Prison, had an 8th grade education, and literally went into bad health trying to prove that a black man in a racist society who is a formerly incarcerated individual could support a wife and 8 children on $65 a week and not go back to prison. My mother had a 3rd grade education, but I learned through sports never to allow my circumstances to limit the scope or the reach of my dreams. I really believed at 24 years old that I could change the world by changing people's perceptions and understandings of the games they play. I think that sports on an international level is probably the most high-profile political stage, second only to the United Nations. I think that athletes who are aware, who have done their homework, who understand what's at stake, realize that a sports stage can be transformed into a platform to make statements that people cannot help but hear, whether they like it or not. We're talking about the Olympic Project for Human Rights and the demonstrations in Mexico City over a half a century later because of the impact that was involved. The first part of it was actually getting to the Olympics so that the stage could be utilized as a platform to make a statement about what was happening in American society. And what was happening in American society at the time, people forget, was that our leaders were being shot down in broad open daylight. Dr. King, most certainly Robert Kennedy, Medgar Evers had been shot down in 1963. Churches were being bombed. 4 little girls had been killed in 1965. 3 civil rights workers were murdered. You had all of these activities going on. Police were still shooting down unarmed black people in black communities. And the protest at Mexico City was the dramatization of that. And what Smith and Carlos were saying is that we're better than this. We can do better than this. We believe in freedom and justice for all. So here we are a half century later, and we're still discussing this because not just of one event, but because of the whole pattern of events and the way it rolled out. And I hope that that's what people will leave this with, is that it's not just enough to protest. At some point, it comes down to collaborative activism. We're all in this together, and none of us are going anywhere that all of us can't go together. The definitional struggle that Kaepernick and all these athletes were involved in who took a knee came to a head when it was determined that this was a protest against the anthem and against our soldiers. That was not the case. This was a protest against injustice and inequality in America. That was a definitional struggle that they were waging, a struggle that goes all the way back to black enslavement. And so this definitional struggle is an old one. What Kaepernick did was to bring it to the surface from behind the scenes and say, there is something wrong when you have 147 black men, women, and children every year since the assassination of Dr. King being shot down under cover of the badge, and very seldom is anybody ever charged, much less prosecuted. We are better than that. And that's what he was saying. It was important that Kaepernick waged that struggle. It was important that he dragged this to the forefront and say, we're better than this. And the first thing that I did after he took a knee was to go into the locker room after that game and ask him for the jersey that he wore, the shoes that he wore, the gloves that he wore, had him sign them. And I sent them to Lonnie Bunch at the National Museum for African American History in the Smithsonian. And Lonnie said, why are you sending me this stuff? Who is this guy? I said, put him right between Tommy Smith and John Carlos and Muhammad Ali, because that's where he belongs. And of course, the rest of it is history. It turns out that the whole nation then has to pay attention to somebody taking a knee. Unfortunately, it was a police officer taking a knee on a black man's neck until he was literally dead on television in living color for 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Black people have never been seen or regarded as creditable witnesses to their own circumstances, outcomes, and realities. And Kaepernick was saying, this is our reality. This is our circumstance. But he was also saying something else, especially by taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem, Land of the Free and Home of the Brave, is that we're better than this. That was a statement of belief in what this country purports to stand for. He didn't say, I'm making my money, to heck with it, as long as I'm not shot at. He also realized that the only reason that it was Mike Brown who was shot to death, or Trayvon Martin, the only reason that it was Oscar Grant who was dead on a platform in Oakland, California, and not him, was that he was not there. The thing that I've been most impressed about as far as this generation of young people is concerned is their great intent. They truly believe in that one mandate, that we the people, in order to form that more perfect union. That's who led this struggle that we just came through, where we had the largest protest movement in American history. It was young people out there in the street leading that. It was young people out there protesting the George Floyd murder. It was young people out there protesting the Breonna Taylor murder. It's young people out there leading the struggle against the attacks and hate crimes against Asians and Pacific Islanders. We've been through worse, and we've come out better, because that's what we Americans do more than any other people on the face of this earth. And in that, I not only find hope, I find confidence. And when I see the young people out in the street of all colors, of all races, when I see old folks out in the streets, it tells me, you know what? We're still America, and we can make this right.